Army Regulation 700, 127, Logistics, Integrated Logistics Support. Chapter 4, Performance Based on Logistic Policy Implementation. 4.1, Overview, Purpose. The purpose of chapter is provided the Army policy guidance for the conduct of the performance-based logistics. As the DoD Army's prepared product support strategy, the PSS, the policy linkage is the Department of Defense DoD Directive 5000.1 and DoD Instruction 5000.2 emphasize the performance strategies, acquisition sustainment products, services when practical. The Defense Acquisition Guidebook, the DAG states within the statutory limits, support centers of the weapon system shall be long-term logistics supported based on a base value of the system life cycle. The support approaches be analyzed to provide a basis for a final decision process. The performance listed but logistic property requires that the warfighter and the PM of the Total Life Cycle System Manager TLCSM initially agree upon the document and performance based on required outcomes for products support and performance based agreements. The PBA, um, the PBL and the PSS shall meet the warfighter operational requirements and be effective and validated in the PBL at BCA. The PBL BCA processes and goes beyond cost benefits traditional economic analysis by linking each product support alternative to fulfill the strategic objectives of this program. However, it complies with the product's performance measurement and metrics for resulting impacts to stakeholders, and ultimately the PBL and the BCA is a tailored process driven by the dynamics of the PBL, pending on the PBL investment decision and implemented without prejudice, identifies the alternative, provides the optimum mission, supports the performance given costs and the constraints, including the qualitative subjective factors and key PBL milestones. Decision points of the PBL implementation checklists are located in Appendix B. 4.2. The general policy. The PBL provided by the product support strategy for the weapon system product support employs the purchase of the support integrated performance package designed to optimize the system readiness. The PBL, the performance-based logistic objectives include the optimizing the system into availability while minimizing cost of logistic footprint. TRADOC and the AMC shall participate in collaboration, validation, verification, review process to ensure operational economic concerns of the warfight sustainment and community respective and appropriate address to the PBSS. The PBL implemented on all Army ACT and where operational economical feasible as validated by the formal type of 2 BCA. The PBL implemented the performance-based logistic is implemented on the system subsystem seconded and items compliant with assembly sub-assemblies as well as processes led to business process improvements for the example of Lean and Six Sigma improvements on the depot line. The PBL, the performance-based logistic, considers the implementation of the Army ACA the ACAT 3 programs at the description of the PM and the PEO for joint programs where Army is persistent lead services policies. PBL PSS shall be followed unless it conflicts with the Army requirements. Other agreed are agreements in the Army PBL criteria requires that the PBL PSS of the U.S. Army program possesses the clearly defined measurable product support performance outcomes and meet warfighter requirements. Acceptance of the program shall comply with the new sustaining key performance parameter, key system attributes, or at least one of the published DoD archives of the TLCM, the Total Life Cycle System Manager. Metrics and supporting the Army metric sub-element. The strategy shall make the best government organic commercial partnership source to the best. Value approach to support strategy shall within the Army publish the PBL the performance-based logistic boundaries and constraints. All programs shall or have been planned to have the following to consider to the performance-based logistic application: the approved validation of Type 2 BCA, the product support is integrated by the PSI, the PBA, the Army PBL, the performance-based logistics boundaries, constraints, mandates that the program will be operating accountably, non-infigurable, and not infigure on the commander's ability to execute the missions. Comply with the Army policy constraint accompanying with the force set within the AR 715-9, maintaining total asset visibility, total system, including support equipment spares, while providing TAV of the Army in transit visibility, ITV, and network. Ensure the contractors feed ITV and services while the data in the record format. Comply with the DoD policy of the Department of Defense Transportation System. The DoD transportation hubs where practical, where in warfighters' performance requirements, other distribution is recommended. Department of Army Deputy Chief of Staff on the G4 with the DASAILS shall be notified of any intent to use the different distribution system prior to the decision. The use of Standard Army Logistics Information System, the LIS, formerly known as Standard Army Management Information System, the STASMIS. They include the Standard Army Maintenance System enhanced by the SAMS-E unit, level of logistics, aviation enterprise, the ULSAE, Standard Army Retail System objectives of the SARSOS, property book untitled the Enhanced PBUs, Transportation Considerization Automated Information Management, TCAIMS, Transportation Seasonally Global Combat Support System, Army GCCSSA, when anticipated interface, complete with a single Army Logistics Enterprise sale, and it develops a business process operational architect level, and 7 incompatibility with the emerging doctrine of the sustainment of operations such as 2-level maintenance and a program. PBL should be addressed to the milestone decision and MDR tailored for each individual acquisition system specific performance for roles implement responsibility for detailed PBS prior to system fielding. PBL executed through PBL Warfighter PSSI product support providers, PSP. See paragraph 415. Basic tenet to the PBL is uses a high-level matrix to measure the support outcome. See paragraph 49. PSSI shall be assigned to integrate product support for the system under PBL strategy. See paragraph 410. The Army PBL policies of the layout chapter filed Department of Defense PBL implementation model shown as figure 411. PBL implementation model. The integrated requirement supports from the left to the rotating clockwise to the form of the PBL team, the baseline, the identifying performance outlooks, selecting of the PSI, workload allocation, CSCM strategy, establish PBAs, business case analysis, accomplish contracts, financial enablers, and implementation back right up to the integrated requirements and the support. The different implementation models are not necessarily support, but shall be synchronized and integrated across the Army programs of the acquisition sustainment communities. 4.1 PBL implementation model. 4.2 the outlines the implementation process decision flowchart of the milestone decision points that determine PSS meets the requirement of the PBL. Performance-based logistics goal. Weapon system capability meets the warfighter requirements to optimize system readiness and reduce logistic footprints of the cost. As we go into has IPT been established and developed, manage, and PBL strategy to accomplish the PBL. It goes yes right over and no down to warfighter requirements obtained to determine performance for capability resources. Moves right over to the yes in category to the DPM conduct BCA, where it falls directly in the circle of yes around the no does not meet intended objectives of the PBL. And continuing from did PBM conduct BCA, does the BCA identify support strategy that meets the operational economical concern of the warfighter? And then it goes, yes it did, if it did, then it did go to the BCA recommended the best values, alternative consideration, did the BCA recommend best value, alternative consideration, performance, cost, schedule, and sustainment trade-offs? Did it go to the PM selected PSI, where the PBA's contract with metrics established between the PM, PSI, and the PSPs, the warfighter delineated outcomes of the committees? Did it go to the QSACP, establish and evaluate the level of performance of the PBA contract or no? Report weapon systems of the PBL strategies. The QSACP, the Quality Assurance Surveillance Plan to determine if the product strategy meets the requirements of performance-based logistics, and 4.2, the process decision flow chart. 4.3, the integrated requirements of support and an effective PBL implementation begins with the joint capabilities, integrated development systems, JSIDs, process of the following capabilities needed to overall performance linking, support and to perform, understanding warfighter needs and terms and performance essential to the initial steps of developing meaningful support strategies. The PM consultant of the ASCC organizations to support the warfighting combat commanders of the ACOM ASCC DRUs, direct response units. General for the weapon systems customers, the capability needs should be translated to performance support metrics of the documented PBAs and service of the primary performance of the support provided performance. The JROSCs endorse implementations of the mandatory KPP supporting the key system attributes to the material availability, reliability, ownership for all major defense acquisition programs. The MDAPS select ACAT2 or ACAT3 programs and scenarios, changes the operational environment, involves the performance requirements and changing leading to change support strategies of PBL methodology, meeting warfighter needs of the remaining and closing assignment or closing alignment to the warfighter requirements and logistic personnel is essential to the continued process of the PM. To achieve the flexibility of the PLB, the performance-based logistics shall be implemented in the PBAs, for example, the contracts, memorandums, agreements, the MOAs, memorandums of understanding, the MOUs, selective level of agreement, the SLA, and selective and specified to the range of performance outcomes and corresponding metrics sufficient as to accommodate changes to the resource of the op tempo. Other uses or requirements to the extent it can be defined as the PBA shall be aligned in various territories to support the peacetime warfighter surge levels shall occur. Minimum contractual exclusion meeting the need to amend and redevelop the public base logistics agreement. However, a significant verification of usage may not be able to be defined and accommodated incorporating language over and above services and the agreements. The initial determining operational feasibility of basic level logistics for all ACAT systems shall require to the participation collaboration of the PEOs, the PMs, the AMCs, the LCMMCs. The trade acts shall center the TCMs that can combine to the arms of support of Command CASCOM. Maneuver, sustain developers and stakeholders performance-based logistics strategies requirements shall include the preservation of organic industrial-based core capabilities of 50/50 requirements are mandated to statutes 10 U.S. Standard Code 2464 and 2466. Compliance of the existing statutory DoD, the Army funding policy, financial guidelines, and inherent governmental functions shall be performed in government personnel. Reference in 31 U.S. Standard Code 501 noted as Section 52A of the Public Law 105270. See the 10 U.S. Standard Code 2383. Only Army industrial organizations and funded to the Army Work Capital Fund AWCF can that is submit and propose a private competition of under the on management budget curricular of A76 completion for the depot maintenance is set as 10 U.S. Standard Code 2469. See Section 829 of the Public Law 1094. Proceeds of the 10 U.S. Standard Code 2469 shall be observed in consideration completion of the depot level main and repair of the 10 U.S. Standard Code 2460. The functioning is currently performance in organic depot of the value of work exceeded $3 million. If any of them change in model performance, then other depot level maintenance repair of the $3 million and the effects of the 9 DoD civilians employees of the A76 provisions shall be considered. Form the PBL team. The performance-based logistics team shall be formed by to manage the PBL effort, and the team led by the PM and the PM designated product support manager, the PSM, and shall be consists of the government and private sectors and functional and experts, and shall include all appropriate stakeholders, including the warfighter representatives. B. The structure of the team vary and depending on the maturity of the mission and program. Four shall be the performance-based logistics team set up with the integrated product processing team IPT construct. A sample of the performance-based logistic team starts as a PBL in a Venn diagram of a circle, all knotted into the performance-based logistics integrated processing team. The program manager underneath the product, the support manager goes straight into the performance-based integrated processing team. Then around you'll see all these circumferences. The performance integrated processing team is the inventory, supplier, government, repair, depot, council, DLA, cost analysis, engineer, controller, FMS, customers, contract offers, logistics managers, customer reports, and back up the program manager, product support manager. And notes as the team shall include the representative component of the command headquarters, logistic representative for supply, maintenance, and transportation says included representative ACOM, ASCC, direct report, DRUs, and defense acquisitions, as well as the engineering, technical, and procurement of the computational implementation technology, organization, contractor support. After team is organized, membership is established, the goals of development plans, action milestones, obtaining adequate resources. 5. Establish performance-based agreements of the PBAs, the policies. Documentation of the performance-based agreements is required by the performance-based logistics implementation. Documented by the performance-based agreements is between the PM, erotic, and support engine, PSI, product support integrator. Warfighter defines the system operational requirements, for example, readiness, availability, responsible times are essential for the PBAs shall be defined, included the required support system metrics and necessary to meet the system performance requirements. The performance-based agreements shall be implemented, approved for the PBL strategies on system subsystems compliance components, including secondary items of performance-based agreements shall be binding agreements and the specific metrics, resources, commitments, and between the PBLAs and the PBLs should be included incentives of is the responsible dispute resolution termination process. The performance requirements flow for the warfighter of the PSPs and performance-based agreements. It shall be executed at each of the 3 levels. Performance-based warfighters, the PM organization, the PM warfighters, the PM PSSI organizations, as in PM and PSSIs, the PSSIs and the PSPs organization, PSI and PSPs. Performance-based agreements shall be an agreement of organization of the contract, commercial entity, industrial-based support agreement, the IBSA. In order to plan funding and fluctuation of the performance-based agreements, negotiated the range of the performance outcomes depending on conversation of the fundings of the performance-based agreement shall include the clause of the file to allow the all in review and renegotiation periodic basis event of fluctuation and stable funding. All performance-based agreements shall be updated at least 5 years of an event of the major project changing. A revision to the PBA and incorporate major change to program metrics supported strategy. Army enterprise actives and financial resources shall be approved in accordance with the policy. The following responsibility of the PBAs consider shall ensure the clear lines of authority, accountability, maintain broad enterprise and consideration, evaluated flexibility is provided to meet the specific program performance requirements. Warfighter agreements, performance-based agreements of the warfighter shall be prepared of the PM and coordinated with the performance-based logistics stakeholder as essential element of acquisition milestone decision review of the process. The PM, warfighter, or designated representative signatories of the type of performance-based agreements. The warfighter PBA shall be approved by the headquarters of the Department of the Army, the HQDA, G3, G4 at the HQDA. The staff override of the Pan Army consideration contract type of agreements of PSI and PSPs. The PBA contract commercial entities shall exist in the FRA, DFRA rules of the DoD acquisition process of the preparation, coordination, signature authority. These agreements shall rest in the applicable acquisition officials, contracting officers authorized for specific programs, and see paragraph 4 6. Organic type of agreements of the PSI and PSPs of the MOA, MOUs, SLAs, and IBSAs. Agreement between the organic organization coordinated by the LCCM PEOs as signed to the PM and the senior PSIs and PSPs organizational official performance commitment. Organic PBA outline example 1.0 introduction, 2.0 purpose, 3.0 scope, 3.1 focus, 3.2 requirements, 3.3 evaluation criteria method, 3.4 general boundaries and constraints, 3.41 funding constraints, 3.42 higher level performance decisions, 3.43 record real world situation, 4.0 performance metric performance outcomes, 5.0 general terms conditions, 5.1 terms conditions, 5.1.1 business case analysis plan results, 5.12 the base organization, 5.13 type of BBA performance based agreements, 5.4 DoD integrated customer support team as an ICST integrated support logistics team. The funding and the reviews of the revisions, the incentives is in follows 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4, 6.0 constraints, boundaries, exceptions, 6.1 external influences, 6.41, 6.1 core logistics capabilities, 6.1.2 50 rule, 6.1.3 public private competition, 6.1.4 center industrial technical excellencies is in sight, 6.2 product support boundaries, 6.3 performance-based logistics boundaries and constraints, 7.1 roles and responsibility, 8.0 funding, 9.0 period of performance, 10.0 conflicting resolution exit criteria, 10.1 exit criteria, 10.2 data rights, 10.3 conflict resolution, Appendix A acronyms, and Appendix B references, and in Figure 4 organic PBA outline. The LCM commanders of the AMC the LCMC commanders of the AMC signature authority of the performance-based agreements involving the organization of the PSI and the PSP's roles of the LCMC commanders may elect the delegated signature authority of the command to an agent, and on their behalf, the PM designates the AMC organization of the PSI and the PSP of the LCM commanders or designated agreements or committees of the LCM of achieving the performance parameters delineated with the PBA to assist the generation of the PBA software contained within the system pairs and application includes an incentive of the PBA guidance of the registered download of the CAI size pairs, and following is in the URL, the HTS www.logsa.army.mil/ALC/log pairs, and that is the following URL. The next, continuing on to the 4.6 awarded contract policies, all organization entities developing executions with performance-based logistics contracts, organization agreements within all other performance-based logistics stakeholders shall adhere to the guidance specific for the responsibility outlined by performance-based logistics contracting guidelines of the HTTS or www.us.army.mil-suite-docs-6840702 requirements of the AKO login contract and clause implementation body performance basic logistics contained in the FARS clause. Unique PBL clauses are not required but incorporated if needed for the tailor of PBL strategy of the warfighter requirements. All solution implementation of the performance-based logistics shall identify the availability of the Army maintenance activities to enter the PPPS and for performance of the work in connection with the solicitation, government rights to accessing item and logistic technical product for that is in data rights for the technical data package TDB incorporated in all PBL strategies associated costs for logistics negotiated on the front included the PBA contract distribution resolution clauses required by the performance-based agreements and incumbent with the parties in entering such agreements to determine how the disputes will be resolved, including in the condition of the performance-based agreements and exist and the strategy included for the event of the performance maintenance performance metrics are not met by the needs of the government change, PSI is unable to unwilling continuing to perform its function of the contract agreement will the containing language requirement continue with the service of the mandates uninterrupted support during the translation phase, exchange for the information or the data, interaction of the incompetent and new partner organization. 4.7 Financial enablers, financial policy, AWCF, secondary items, focus of the performance-based logistics candidates, armor management, stock items having high dollar value, high demand, DLRs, and items diminishing manufacturing sources, material shortage, DMSSMs, A-Type 1 facilities, BCH, see paragraph 413 is performed in the PBL, PSSs, and for the AWCFs. Secondary items, the DLA procurement of actions, PBL shall be obtained via consolidation of the like items in long-term contracts incitiveness to the performance outcomes in accordance with existing acquisition regulations, full government access to items, level demand, and return of the data incorporated into a public performance-based logistics PBAs, performance-based agreements, and contracts. Surge of production capability shall be included in both repair of the performance-based agreements and the procurement of the contracts. The performance-based agreements shall be included, incorporated, and quantifiable, relative, and defensible baseline metrics for use of guidelines, or gouging in the success of the performance-based logistics strategy as is incentives or disincentives for achieving and selected metrics for secondary items and key metrics including the stock availability, logistic responsibility items, reduction in procurement lead time, reduction of the overall backholders, reduction of the backholders or back orders of mission essential items, and the overall inventory cost and procurement unit other than application specific metrics that may be applicable. Comparison baseline to current performance based metrics shall be iterative process over time of the performance-based logistics PML CMC and shall ensure the performance-based metrics shown as the AWCF secondary items of the PBL agreement support contribute to the performance-based metrics as a weapon material system. The support refer to the metric guides of the American or the additional metrics that may be approved. The LCMC designates performance-based logistics coordinated to support the performance-based logistics of the AWCF. Secondary items and inventory of the LCMC shall prepare a report in accordance with the Army of the PBL criteria reporting requirements policy. See paragraph 414. Coordination of the PM stakeholders of the report shall list the number of candidate DLR normal number of being considered by the PBL feasibility of this number involved with the PBCA consideration and number current of the PBL contracts of procurement for the repair of the performance-based logistics class 9 items be instructed so that they are not advisorily impacted. Sullivan's of the AWCF Supply and Management Army AWCF SMA account. If secondary of the national stock number, the NSN Army policy requires the first supply of the PEOs and PMS's Army supply system or optimizational specific system shall optimize the overall Army enterprise over optimizing a single system line and it will not generate for the other items within the overall Army items. At a minimum of the following areas shall be considered conducting BCA concerning review and expansion. Timing to ensure the solvents AWCF and SMA businesses activity and imperative that all expenses inquired with the record and under the PBL and also generate the record review of the same accounting period, which is generally 1 year review. Expense shall be balanced within the fiscal year. Revenue due to expense ratio of the BCA prepared to the DLR PBLA agreement to the revenue to the expense of the ratio shall calculated for the lease of the first 5 years for each of the proposed alternative revenue to expense of the ratio shall be greater than or equal to 1.0 in all areas, and the ratio is less than 1.0 in any area. The coordinated agreement between PBMA, the AMC, and the item agreement and the address of the plain cash recovery for each of the years less than 1.0 shall be included in the BCA documentation. The NSA The NSN pricing level of the pricing policy requires the latest acquisition cost service for the basis of standard practice. Any cost, including the PBL strategy that would normally be component with a commodity cost recovery rate. For example, strategies for transportation, item management, so forth will be captured for the use of adjusting the cost recovery rate as well as the annual price updated process when executing the PBL strategy for secondary items. The PBA specific government rights to access to the items demand return of valid update technical if ownership rights are required for the Army due to the acquisition plan strategy. The identified need to file procurements, maintenance actions of these needs contractually addressed to the BCA estimates shall be provided updating technical data, for example, drawing specification tolerances and so forth to support the alternative options using the either public or private sectors. This should in the following competition among the potential providers assist smooth transition shall service provide agreements and change the due to determination to the agreement of contract or result or competitive award contract. The LCM will review operational, economic, will feedback all support strategies addressed, evaluated. The BCA line is the business base analysis validated appropriate LCMC, including the local LCMC, a cost analysis officer prior to the BCA is being awarded by the PEO and LCMC commander. Validation will be subject to review of the HQ AMC G5. Each secondary of the BCA submitted to the HQ AMC G5 coordination review of the last 30 days prior to the signature. The HQ AMC G4 shall coordinate with the staff BCA appropriate HQ AMC staff elements of the HQ AMC G3 and G8. Independent review of the BCA documentation shall be retained to the LCMC. The use of organized hardware obligation authority, the HW, the hardware obligation authority HWOA is pricing Army secondary items of the performance-based logistics performance-based agreements, defense financing and account services, the DAFs, and in regulations of 37.1 financing and accounting policy to implementation addresses the HQ, the hardware obligation authority to price to funding services costs which are appropriate for the performance-based logistics performance-based agreements directed related to the acquisition of overall hardware HWOA and does not restrict to the performance-based logistics PBA and accord to the product support and set guidelines for the use of supply management. Army of the SMA HWOA is in a funding source establishing pricing of AWCF managed secondary items of the acquired overhaul to the PBLA and the PBAs. Acquired performance-based logistics PBAs funded in SMA HWOA shall be finalized and PCAs have been reviewed and validated in Assistant Secretary of the Army of the Financial Management of the Comptroller ASAFM and CSAFM and BURSs AS and FMNC SAFMR BURS shall review the BCAs. The impact of AWCF is cash and full reactive of the AWCF costs. The impact of the customer buying power of the BCA shall be specific national item identification numbers for AWCF management, secondary items of service procured in conjunction of the physical inventory items of funding sources and the amount of each system. 4.8 the baseline system the system management and analysis policy. Management analysis. The PEOs and the PMs shall arrange an operational feasibility analysis for each of the systems together and feasible analysis for each of the systems together within their TRADOC or AMC counterparts. The analysis shall be conducted with the weapon system, subsystem, major assembly, considering the supportability of requirements including combat and employment with the performance-based logistics constraints. The PEOs and PMs shall facilitate analysis, gather, and prepare report in the following format and support the higher headquarters that are requested by the project program, project product management office name, project system, subsystem, major assembly, ACC, ACAT level A assessment result planning, completing the type 1, type 2 BCAs, rational pursuing or not PBL approach management analysis criteria. The PM will also follow the criteria to analysis determine feasibility of the applying performance-based logistics as the PSSs for the program for their program, where the program is currently supported by the Viva. The program is currently supported by the VIA traditional sustaining strategy through organic and commercial means programs and involving minimum logistic requirements such as wood and round arrangements of the product under the commercial warranties will maintain existing support strategies. There shall be minimum 5 useful life expectancies for systems of the DoD inventory. The warfighter state capability shall achieve a maintainable under the performance-based logistics approach for the high level of potential of achieving increasing a system performance. The cost operational unit performance, that is, cost per flight hour, shall be applicable for reducing through application of the performance-based logistics approach. Cost reduction potential shall be assessed by the application of the cost assessment tool system simulation cost models required. Risk associated with implementation of performance-based logistics shall be determined to be low. Minimum all costs associated with completing the performance-based or the PBCA as considered by the investment to attain this future savings. Developing performance outcomes metric policies. Metric policies are used by the Army Acquisition Sustainment leadership along with the DoD evaluate to the success and maturity of the performance-based logistics. Reform to the performance-based logistics metrics guide at the HT or www.us.army.mil-suite-doc-6840728 requires an AKO login, current overacting or life cycle metrics including operational availability, mission reliability, cost performance unit usage, logistic footprint, logistic response time, total life cycle cost per unit usage. The Joint Requirements Oversight Committee, the JROC, is approved implementation mandatory sustainable KPP material availability to mandatory systems KS and material ownership costs, as along with a mean down in the time it shall be developed in a major defense acquisition program. The MADAPS as selected the ACT 2 and 3 programs. Material availability address the over operational availability section of the performance-based logistics metrics and material reliability over ownership and the cost addresses the mission reliability cost per unit usage sections of the performance-based logistics guide respective. In addition, with the JROC mandated KPP KSA as is use of at least one overacting metric shall be considered. However, in supplemented element is better suited for use and evaluation of the performance-based logistics particular and system uses. The element is acceptable as well as metric sub-element selected to the measure success and the failure of PSI and PSP performances when properly applied for the metric will successfully and evaluation of the Army of PBL efforts. Select products support integration PSI when PM shall be product support integrated. The integrated source of product support in choosing the PSI's PM short performance of preliminary assessment availability organization organic and or private and commercial sector capability of performance PSI in reference to PBL performance-based performance support and integrated guide at www.us.army.mil-684-6840742 requires an AKO login. Identification of the PSI shall include consideration following key factors: qualification, capabilities, integrated management and skills, technical knowledge, operational performance to include past performance, availability, integrated deliver, and the required product support in both peacetime, cost effectiveness where support and the best value in the government best interest, risk associated with the PSI, for example, operational, legal, contractual, financial support, so forth. Following operational representation candidates performing PSI for all 4 options combinations shall be equal considered. Organic entities, for example, depots, LCM, integrated management material centers, the IMCCs, logistic readiness centers, the LRC, interdistrict logistics support centers, ILCs, ILSCs, research, development, engineering of the command RDE com elements, original equipment manufacturers OEM, the third party, fourth party logistics 3PL and 4PL TM provided by commercial entity, integral PM office, the example of the PML ILSM, product support manager PSMs. If it appears the existing organic or organizational functional capabilities should be associated with the submit of the rough orders, magnitude, and price of information performance prescribed by the PSIs, and if it is determined best choice, the PSIs of the private commercial sector standard of federal procurement procedures shall be used in private sector firm. 4.11 Developing work allocation of core logistics core depot policy. The DoD policy that stands substanding strategy shall include the use of public and private sector capabilities or through government industrial partnering initiatives in accordance with the statutory requirement DoD 5000.1 E.17 or E.1.17, building a system baseline development previous PBL team IPT shall address the discrete workload access and out whom and accomplishing consideration that is Title 10 regulatory pertinent services guidance and general support workload shall include the system unique common or subsystems commodities components. Within these categories there shall be a various chapters charters to be consideration of workload allocation source decisions accomplished include the Title 10 U.S. Standard Code applicability Core 5050 existing support process, for example contract and organic existing support and infrastructure in place to develop and in base capabilities evaluation public-private sectors market research operation for the public-private partnering development and effective support strategy shall consider all the factors in arriving at the best value decision. Using decisions BCA develop and optimum support sourcing decision. See figure 4.5 the Spectrum PBL strategies of 517 regulation. Spectrums of performance-based logistics PBL strategies, more organic, more commercial. Organic to commercial, organic providers responsible for major support and public-private partnering operational contract responsibility for major support. So PBL strategies for the division driven of the OMAs of the warfighter will vary along with spectrum depending on the age of system phase of life cycle, existing support of the infrastructure, organic, commercial capabilities, legislative, regulatory constraints, and examples of partnering agreements of the total system performance responsible TSPR, total system support partnership, TSPs, government industrial partnership, service level agreements of the SLA, provided vendor support, PVSs, and contract delivery and systems, and full service contracts. 412 develop supply chain management strategies, end-to-end PBAs, SCMs, end-to-end PBA policies, end-to-end AEM, supply chain SCMs, PBA established measurable service performance levels between Army support organization customers, Army commands. This will develop for support of the Army customer, DoD, non-DoD source supply collaboration among all participation support chain. Establish mutual exceptions for all levels of support. However, support shall be provided to the customer. CAR 711-7 E2E SCMs PBAs of the situation of customers. A specific be accomplishing of the following minimum documentation customers requirement. Establishing mutual exceptions addressing specific commodity service weapon systems and items provide basis of parties to the review performance data metrics within the intent of evaluation of effectiveness of agreement of relation of the cost support, what process improvements of the improved support may take form in the performance agreement of the specific outcome established. 5. Provide the account of the change op-tempo contingency operation, recognizance of funding fluctuations throughout the program. Budgeting cycle may be impacted by the performance metrics. In order the funding of the fluctuation of the PBAs negotiated the range of performance outcomes depending on the compensate of the funding levels of the PBA shall include clause to allow the review of renegation of the periodic basis of the event of fluctuation and stability of the funding. The metric shall be considered specifically limited to those of the supplier that has direct control over the process. The metric may cover the factors of such cost to the timeless stock availability of the performance shall clearly measurable and under the control of participant in the agreement. DCS for CASCOM shall provide the input in the process improvement of the analysis over the metric process is a minimum of the following shall occur at an annual senior level of the review E2 and PBA performance metrics evaluation of compliance within the metrics overall the previous year scheduled for the review of coincidence with the program budget cycles in order to influence near the long-term adjustment of the PBAs. Developing the business case analysis, the PBCA, the public-based performance-based logistics-based business case analysis. The BCA is the business case analysis designed to identify cost, weapon system, warfighter benefits of the DoD and the DA will relies on through the initiation of the PBL and the PAS's analysis support determine whether it is in a government best interest to proceed in the proposed performance-based logistic product support of the performance-based logistic of the business care analysis also is assisted by the PEOs of the PMs in making decisions among the costs associated with the performance benefits of the alternative support and the decision of the deciding the implementation proposed products of support arrangement of the comparing government's cost benefits associated benefits for each of the option performing the BCA alternatives and the PBL business care analysis guides www.usarmy.mil/suite-doc-6840696 require AKO cost benefits and consideration of the ACAP program expending the DA resources. All new ACAP 1-2 program shall implement performance-based logistics performed by product support strategies of the business care and business case analysis shall operational and economical feasible. The ACT 3 program shall consider performance-based logistics at the PEOs and PMs in discretion shall follow the guidance of the performance-based logistics and determine the feasible for analysis, review, validation, approval as required, justified and in product support strategies as specified in approval thresholds. Let's do some more. Table 441 BCA approved thresholds type 2 formal BCA Act 2 1 and 2 and TRADOC LCMC DLA and DSA and ILS staff HQ AMC DSLA CE A&E NAC3 TRADOC LCMC DLA DASA ILSA staff HQ and AMC PEO and LCMC Commander C. Note 2. If an initiative is expected to the high visibility controversy A76, congressional interest and shall be brought to the attention of the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army Integrated Logistics Support, DASA ILS, and after Pan Army review of concern received the DASA ILSA staff. PEOs and the PM shall first use the management analysis criteria Army boundaries constraint listed to the paragraph 4.2. The regulation determined that the performance-based logistics is possible for products as a support alternative for their program. The system programs deemed operational feasible shall undergo the BCA determining if they meet criteria for the PBL and decide whether specific support support strategy warfighter requirements offers the operational economical arrangement in the PBL deemed feasible BCA format shall shown in the figure 4.6 DoD product support strategy business case analysis guide principle 1 preparing BCA outcome of the process of feasible type 1 BCA or the formal type 2 BCA feasible type 1 BCA type 1 BCA and the BCA addressed in the best estimates of the functional process cost benefits and shall be started as an early development process as possible. It has the same fourth content of the full skull and type 2 BCAs and is level comprehensive detail is its starting point in the process of evaluating feasible pursuing potential source of support alternatives such as BBL. Performance-based logistics key element establishing negotiating objectives and it also tool development PSS and PBL acquisition project processes. Type 1 BC development and shall be beginning in prior to the MCA further refined initial submission to the PEO's LCM prior to the MSB. Formal Type 2 BCA, maybe Title 2 BCA, and the full-scale formal BCA provide comprehensive explanation expected the benefits and cost savings and would result in implementation alternative product support strategies. Type 2 BCA compare the current project support alternatives viability of the product support alternatives in PBL acquisition process. Type 1 BCA expended initial Type 2 BCA early as SDD phase of the initial formal Type 2 BCA completed with the MS and C contractor awarded the detailed design. The BCA formula executive summary, section 1, an introductive overview of subject, purpose, objectives, background, organization, methods, assumption, major assumptions, scope, boundaries, financial metrics used to define analysis methodology, the cost benefits and model use exception of the cost titles category, business impacts, description of alternatives, cost benefits, overtime, financial analysis, non-quantitative factor criteria rational for the user of comparison alternatives, quantitative and qualitative. Sectional 17, sensitive analysis, risk analysis. Section 5, consultant recommendation, conclusion, recommendation, rational implementation, valid verification. For economic analysis, EEA, Schroeder Harrison Office Management, DOD, DA, regulations, guidance, conducting economical type analysis, AE, and is not substituted by the BCA stack goods. The total life cycle cost system management, TLCSM, the cost team made of the PMS, TRADOC, Army Commands, AMC, LCM, PEOs, and HITME. Independent verification review, IV and R team is consistent. Office selected a DA staff organization, ASA, FMNC, DSA, and ILS, DSA, and CEA, Deputy Chief of System, Army Defense Exportation, and DSA, ENC, and HQ, AMC, and other organizations for the Army System and Analysis Activity, the AMSAA, Army Test Evaluation Command, Army Eventual, ATEC, AEC, and DNLA. So DLA approval of team consistent with the DSA and ILSA Army Acquisition Executives. AE. The performance-based logistics of BCA guidance contained in the process flow diagrams, the ACT-1-2, ACT-3 public-based logistics BCA performance, BLA, and BCA lifecycle framework of the flow chart, BCA requirements additional of the lifecycle cost, initial PCA of the activity 1-2 program development and initiated. Designated support of the IPT, SIPT, and other PSMs, and prior to the MSP, oversight over the PEO, AMC, and TRADOC organizations program other than fall outside of the PEO structure, such advanced concept, technical, demonstration, ACT, and so forth. PSS shall identify the metrics and shall be used in the defining programmability to metrics, logistics, the operational performance. Result of BCAR analysis compared to determine the most efficient, effective means of support occurs the system acquisition phase, MS and C's, PEOs, and shall submit the final draft and other formal type 2 BCAs and MSCs and supporting documentation, Army System Acquisition Review Council, Committee of the ASARC's Defense and Acquisition Board of the DAB, as required to assist subsystem of the final formal decision review as in the part of the performance-based logistics PSS's and approval process. The BCA validated, updated, and exercised contract with BBA operational merit period where there are significant changes during the performance period in terms of the change contract and evaluation of formal type 2 BCA validated, updated, and implementation whenever there are major program made changes and at least every 5 years approval authority and changes updated BCA original approval authority. 414 implementation performance-based logistics requirement and policy is critical Army institutionalizing critical that the Army institutionalizing report mechanism and the evaluated progress facility requirements for updating the Army Leadership Office Secretary of the Defense product support and strategies identified in the pending actual employment PBL. Standard report requires a semi-annual basis the Army and the PBL reporting acquisition requirement established in order to identify the program requirement is applying the performance-based product support the system of SOS. Within the system, subsystem, component, secondary items of level PM and shall report to the PBL and strategies have determined the operational, economical, feasible based on management analysis type 1 and feasibility. The BCA PBL determined the operational, economical feasibility initiated the submitting explaining perfect PBL is available support strategy. No further reporting shall be required unless full future analysis determine potential PBL and supported approach. The reporting reports applies to the LCM, PBL, LCM, CBM direct report, PM, DRP, and organization report should be announced semi-annual based no later than 30 October's 30 April 30th of April each year. DSA ILS shall be reminders electrically 60 days prior to the date due date of the system. Ensure the timely reporting semi-annual BBL should be submitted electronical DSA and ILS is HQAMC, HQAMC, R headquarters material MC and LCMs. Commanders separate PEOs, DRMP shall and appoint prior to alternative performance-based logistics coordinated on another level and may designate coordinators at the lower levels and designated performance logistic considerations shall responsible for complying with verifying submitting performance-based logistics report at higher headquarters through signal organization point of the contact performance-based logistics DSA and ILSH, HQAMC, and HQMRMC shall assign primary and alternative performance-based logistics coordinated to ensure performance-based logistics initiative complementary to each and the other and concerning the Army acquisition sustainable the concepts of the PEOs and LCMs in conjunction with the PBL stakeholders responsible for the ensuring that all MP programs and process initiated report of the PBL meeting of the Army performance-based logistics established at the paragraph 412 Army PEOs and PMs shall be led responsible for system subsystems component level PBL reporting the supporting LCMs. The LCM should have been responsible for the reporting of the non-medical secondary the performance-based logistics before with the support of the PEOs and the PM we were applicable.